feels like every week is a new story with this meta. Now make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more I think that this paints a pretty interesting little picture as to how this meta has been shaping up, because as you can see, Radiant Typhoon, Mitsurugi, and Vanquished Soul all sitting on the top. Now, for whatever reason, Radiant Typhoon just remains one of the biggest challengers that this meta has a hard time trying to overcome, and it's very, very interesting. We also have Sky Striker, Lunalites, and the good old Draco Tail doing its thing. Evidently, Lunalites are moving up the ladder because their turn-skipping abilities are starting to come up, which is a little bit interesting. We also do see Canine, Lunalites, Albaz, and Elven Notes in B tier. We have Crystron and Rizel in C tier. And then D tier, we have Blue Eyes, Yummy, Malice, and White Forest, which is kind of interesting because I've been seeing all these builds performing. So what an interesting meta. Let's pass it over to some deck lists. Starting things off here in the interesting department, we have a Radiant Typhoon Orcust list. Yeah, that's a combination of cards that I don't really feel like we get the chance to see a lot of. Now, the reason why this even actually is workable is because, you know, you can combine the rank 3 packages together to make life way easier, but that also turns into like a full Fiendsmith package, because auto access into the massive dump engines usually ends up working out very, very strongly. We also do see Boral Sword down here being the OTK enabler. He's done a fantastic job at streamlining so much of what these decks want to do, and I think that's fine. You want consistency across the board with these engines, and I really do feel like you do get the chance to see the success turnover rate for these lists being very, very strong. Also, when you get to side triple dimensional barrier to lock out your opponent from playing the game, seems pretty good. Next up here, we have the Lunalite deck. Now, this deck has been kind of a little bit of a scary monster, honestly. One, I'm surprised that this deck is able to actually cognitively build a game plan, but I'm also more surprised to see that players are adapting towards actually wanting to play this list, because I hadn't seen a lot of discussion for this, but it's really looking like a very, very strong deck, just to kind of consider, you know, what you're able to do. Now, obviously, everything is just rank 4 turbo, and honestly, I think this deck rank 4 turbos better than Rizel does at this stage, which is a hilarious thing to think about. You're telling me that this deck is able to consistently build and set up a lot easier? Yes, yes. And of course, you know, all of the Ptolemaios stuff and interactions that you get access to is very, very, very solid. So congratulations, you're actually seeing the birth of Lunalites actually being relevant. That was unexpected. Next up, we have the current Canine build. Now, Pure Canine in Japan, unfortunately, has some challenges that it's going to have to overcome, of which, I mean, you're down to 1 Jokul, you're down to, you know, 2 Azuna. You have to fundamentally find a way to overcome these weaknesses. It can be done, and honestly, this deck does it very, very nicely. You also do see that we are playing a Raid Raptor package within this deck. Now, the reason why you're even choosing to look at Raid Raptor cards in the first place is you kind of just need them. Ultimate Falcon is one of those little boss monsters that you're able to produce that your opponent's just not going to be able to deal with. And it's those sort of scenarios that anytime I can put a big unaffected boss monster on the field, it just means that decks like Yummy aren't going to be able to actually overcome it back. So that's why you choose to play this. Big unaffected boss monster actually win game. Next up here, we do have another Canine variant here. Now, this one is going to be shifting up some of the little tech choices, and we're actually going to be playing the Canine Trap card in here. We're still doing Disc Blaster and, what is it, the 1 Daybreak, because both of those are very good pieces to be able to start things off with. I also do see we are going with double Super Poly in the main deck, triple Chaotic Elements. We are doing both of the rank up spells in here. So you're basically trading out the Raid Raptor package, which can give you slightly more consistency, depending on the bits and pieces that you need to slide into, but also, you know, having multiple rank up lines for you to go down. Also, I do think that having the Infinitrack package built into the deck is not a terrible thing. It just depends on what is going to get you the best results for what you think is going to work out best. And then we have the Mitsurugi deck. This has been the deck that has scared the most people. Being able to effectively get way more consistent access to the ritual spell is really, really good. That was like the whole game changer for this deck. When you could take a ritual spell and said you can only apply the 2 effects once per turn, but then you got the ability to turbo it out even further and go, hey, you know, we can now get access to the 3rd effect, which really, really, really changed the way that this deck was playing. I actually really, really like that. You don't get enough of a chance to see, you know, hey, this different idea bridges into this, so this actually works out a little bit more consistently for what you were hoping for. So I do like that. I like that a lot, that we do get to see different options actually coming together to make the Mitsurugi deck very, very broken. Next up here, we have Malice. Now, Malice, a lot of people in the OCG look at this deck and straight say, yeah, this is not a good, consistent pile. No, there are issues with it. And I agree and disagree. I think that, yes, you lost a lot of the free matchups, and now you have to kind of work for your wins, which is not bad. You also lost a Dominus, which wasn't the end of the world. But this deck's M board feels very, very scary still. It's just you kind of had to supplement the things that you're doing. I mean, you're playing 3 Bestials in the main deck. You're still main decking the Shifter. You still have triple Malice and Underground, unlike the TCG, but you also lost Red Ransom. It's interesting to see they haven't also supplemented this list with the extra white binder. I feel like a lot of lists want to be playing the extra white binder just to be able to have the little bit of consistency for the deck. So, I don't know, that's kind of an interesting takeaway with this. So, Malice is still doing Malice things like usual. Next up is Lunalites. Now, Lunalites, any deck that can produce a Towers monster, and as you've looked through most of these deck lists, most of these decks don't actually have an out to the Lunalite monster. It's just a very, very strong, unaffected monster. And, I mean, if there were Destructive Daruma Cannons, Kaijus, other power cards that were running around in the format, I might say that, you know, maybe there would be more opportunities and things to try to clash and to try to, you know, challenges, but that's not what we're seeing right now. What we are seeing is triple crown, triple of the heavy poly. You know, you're going to slam down this very, very powerful boss monster against your opponent, and they're not going to have a chance to really counteract. Now, just don't burn yourself out slamming down the heavy poly because, you know, sometimes it can do some very, very broken things. Outside of that, this deck, I think, is one of the solid challengers in the meta. Anytime Lunalites can actually, you know, challenge up the meta, I think you're looking pretty decent. Next up here, we have Dear Old Branded. Now, this is still Expulsion Turbo, and it's still crazy to me that the OCG allows this interaction to still exist within the course of the format, because man, oh man, this deck feels really, really stupid when you get locked and you can't actually progress your game plan because, oops, dear old Konami said, you know, you're not allowed to try to play the game. But I guess it's to be expected at this point. You know, the OCG looks at the expulsion lock not as a real crazy threat, which is kind of crazy to think about, I will say. But outside of that, this deck is very, very good at trying to maintain the pace of the game, which is just go first, LOL your opponent Gimmick Puppet locked, Grangwigan will drop down the locker, and you just got Gimmick Puppet locked. Offer Handshake to opponent, and really just tell them to get good. And then our last list here is 60 card Malice. Now you are also going to notice in this list we are playing the Horus good stuff, and we're also playing triple Drawbread in here. I really like the fact that we are using Drawbread as an extra little consistency piece to help this deck out, because, I mean, this deck should have no problem taking advantage of that. I mean, half of your deck is monsters at this point. You do see we are also playing the Chaos Valkyrie in here as well, so I don't know. I kind of think that's really, really awesome. We don't really get enough time to talk about a lot of like the crazy little niche interactions that you can build with these decks, and I really do like that. So what do you guys think about these cool decks this week? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.